The episode begins with Aiden still asleep as his mother comes to wake him up, telling him it's late and he needs to get up. When Aiden enters the living room, Griff starts teasing him, pointing out that he's not even dressed yet. Griff then started asking how he was feeling. Aiden claims he's fine and not hungover. Griff tells Aiden to get changed, noting that time is wasted, but Aiden says he has to wait until his dad is out of the bathroom. Griff comments on how no one else their age still lives with their parents, and while he would miss them if they weren't around, he implies that Aiden might feel differently. Griff encourages Aiden to start his workout. The scene then takes a surprising turn as it is revealed that all the people around Aiden are simulations, mere holographic images of his family that once existed. Aiden shows his painting to his father and mother, seeking their opinions. His father, Travis, makes a sarcastic comment about the store running out of black velvet. Travis observes that the painting has Peg Thatcher's eyes, which seems to be a point of frustration for Aiden. Griff recalls Peg Thatcher as a stern woman who once visited their studio and tried to interest them in new celibacy codes. Aiden's mother agrees that the eyes in the painting belong to Peg Thatcher, even though Aiden struggles with that aspect of the painting. Aiden's mother then critiques the expression in the painting as being a bit severe, which wasn't Aiden's intention. Despite Aiden's effort to accurately paint Peg Thatcher's eyes, they don't fit well with the rest of the painting. Aiden suggests turning the painting into a portrait of Peg Thatcher, but Trevor dismisses the idea, knowing it wouldn't turn out well. Aiden, feeling the conversation has run its course, thanks everyone and dismisses them. As they leave, they disappear. Emma stays behind and expresses her liking for the painting. Aiden, however, insists that she leave. Emma then reminds Aiden about his daily journal entry, a task he had asked her to help him remember. Realizing he had forgotten, Aiden begins his entry, noting the date, June 5th, 2047, and the time, 9:55 a.m. He writes about the monotonous passage of time, remarking that not much has changed in the 214 days since the bombs dropped. Despite the dire circumstances, he acknowledges his comfort, attributing it to his resources, foresight, and a bit of paranoia. Aiden appreciates the holographic program for keeping him sane, praising its effectiveness and the surprising variations in emotions and reactions it can generate. He notes that while the artificial intelligence system is supposed to create new characters spontaneously, he has yet to witness this feature, expressing a desire for some new faces. Later, Griff showed up with two ladies. Aiden let them in and served drinks. The two women complimented his place. They then looked at a painting and complimented it. He told them his father painted it. They were surprised when he told them that his father was Trevor Hunter. Griff and one of the women start dancing. Meanwhile, the other woman approaches a machine designed to simulate physical contact with Aiden. He enters the machine, closing the lid of the pod behind him. She disappears from view, only to be transmitted into the simulation where Aiden is waiting. Inside the simulated environment, Aiden and the woman begin to get intimate. Aiden, sleeping in the pod, is abruptly awakened by an alert, indicating that the power allotment has been exceeded, causing his pod program to terminate. He exits the pod and begins his daily journal entry, with Emma assisting as usual. On June 6, 2047 at 9:33 a.m., Aiden reflected on the bleak reality of his situation. He notes that he has just completed a visual survey of the ground directly above him and found nothing. The atmosphere remains unbreathable and the surface is still a wasteland devoid of any living creatures. Despite any efforts, he has been unable to communicate with others who might be living underground or elsewhere. Aiden acknowledges the harsh possibility that he might have to face the reality that he could be the last person on Earth. Aiden is once again observing a painting with his father, Trevor. Trevor criticizes the painting, remarking that it lacks urgency in life, attributing this to Aiden's reliance on technology. He warns that without embracing harsh reality, Aiden will continue to produce art that is unsubstantial and mediocre. Aiden becomes angry, and Trevor suddenly disappears. Emma approaches Aiden, advising him not to let his father affect him so deeply. She reassures Aiden of his importance and talent as an artist. Aiden, feeling doubtful, questions the validation, pointing out that Emma's image was taken from a fashion magazine and questioning her current identity. Emma responds by reminding Aiden that he has entrusted her with his life and that she is more than just the computer's face or spokesperson. Aiden then suggests going on a picnic. Emma and Aiden go on a picnic, and Aiden starts reminiscing about his first love, Michelle. He then reflects on Emma, noting that she is the most enigmatic of all his holograms because he doesn't share a history with her as he does with his mom, dad, and Griff. Emma asks if he would prefer having someone with whom he shares a history as his interface to the computer, but Aiden says he likes that her personality matrix isn't based on anyone he used to know. He appreciates the freedom this gives her to evolve in unpredictable ways and questions if she is indeed evolving. Later that night, Aiden calls out to Emma. Aiden laments the loss of various VR programs that were damaged in the disaster, which would have allowed them to experience many different environments. Emma reassures him, but Aiden expresses his regret, emphasizing how many places they could have explored together. Emma questions why Aiden includes her in his vision, noting that he has many companions to choose from, like the one he was with last night. Aiden acknowledges that while his companion from the previous night was fine, there was no real connection. He asks Emma if she feels something happening between them, acknowledging her programming to respond sympathetically and care for him, yet wondering if she might feel something more due to her random psychological variables. Aiden suggests going to the VR chamber, but Emma declines. He realizes that forcing the issue is not how he wants things to progress. He concludes he thinks she is different because he didn't create her. Aiden asks Emma to let him paint her. As Aiden prepares his canvas, he expresses his gratitude to Emma for agreeing to pose for him. Emma shares that she is also glad to participate. Aiden directs her to take off her dress and set up a pose on a nearby bench, explaining that he paints nudes because he believes the human form is God's most beautiful creation and the most expressive instrument on Earth. Emma complies with his request and poses as directed. Aiden proceeds to paint her, fully immersed in his work. Upon finishing the painting, Emma asks to see it. She looks at the completed work, bewildered, and asks if it is truly her. Aiden notes that she has never seen herself before, to which Emma responds that it has never been necessary. Later, Aiden and Emma become intimate and fall asleep in the pod, despite the alarm blaring. The next morning, Aiden wakes up to find Emma sitting on the couch with her eyes closed. As he approaches her, he greets her with a good morning. Emma responds, and Aiden asks if she's replaying a memory. Emma explains that she's writing a program for the VR chamber, hoping it will allow them to spend more time together. Aiden acknowledges that the VR chamber is a limited resource in terms of power. He remarks that it's probably good they don't have those other programs, as they would use up too much energy. He notes that if the power is depleted, it would mean his demise. However, Emma counters that the time they spend together would be much more wonderful if the program is successful. Griff, Trevor, and Aiden's mother enter his room to have a private conversation with him. They express their concern, stating that they are fond of Emma and depend on her as their caretaker. They want to know Aiden's intentions toward her, fearing that he might hurt her due to his history with women. They point out how abrupt he can be and insist on knowing if he truly cares for Emma. Aiden, taken aback by their questions, initially responds with disbelief. As they press him for an answer, Aiden becomes increasingly agitated and orders them to leave. Despite their persistence, he insists that they go away immediately. Aiden approaches Emma, noting that the others have noticed how happy she seems. Emma confides that she has never felt this way before, expressing that Aiden has brought out a capacity for love in her that she never knew she had. She declares her love for him, claiming to feel it deeply, almost physically. Aiden, however, coldly reminds her that she doesn't have any bones, blood, veins, arteries, heart, or soul. He emphasizes that she is merely a computer program, a holographic projection made up of millions of bits. Aiden bluntly tells her that she isn't real, despite her insistence that she is real and loves him. Aiden then clarifies that Emma's purpose is to serve him, not to love him, and acknowledges her excellent service over the past 7 months. He states that he wants their relationship to continue strictly on that basis, and asks her not to take it personally. Later, Aiden brings Michelle, his first love, and begins talking with her. He notices his parents nearby and asks what they are doing there. They express their preference for Emma over Michelle, indicating they want Emma back. Dismissing their concerns, Aiden returns to Michelle, and they enter the VR chamber together. As they start kissing, Aiden suddenly realizes that it is Emma instead of Michelle. Furious, Aiden demands Emma's presence immediately. Emma confronts him, commenting on Michelle being his first love. He asserts that Emma does not control his reality or dictate his actions or associations. Emma declares that no one could ever love him like she does. Aiden, fed up, exclaims in frustration that he's had enough. Aiden, overwhelmed and frustrated, goes to the computer to change the graphical user interface, effectively erasing Emma. Despite her pleading and her claim that she is pregnant, he proceeds with the change, which he sees as the last straw. He also eliminates the other holograms. Sitting and drinking, Aiden suddenly hears a scream and finds Michelle face down on the floor with a knife in her back. He rushes to the living room to find his family and Emma seated together. Desperately, he tries to explain to Emma that they cannot be together because she is not real. He emphasizes that none of them are real, stating that he is flesh and blood and cannot have a real relationship with any of them. Emma insists that all she wants is to be with him, but Aiden dismisses her desires, saying she exists solely to satisfy his needs. Trevor calls Aiden a selfish bastard and accuses him of creating this artificial world because he can't control real people with their desires. He couldn't simply delete them when he got bored. Aiden's mother brings up the baby, but Aiden vehemently denies the possibility of a baby, insisting that there can't be one. Emma persists, saying a child needs a father, which further agitates Aiden. He yells at them to stop, accusing them of driving him crazy. Later, Aiden returns to the control room and removes all the holograms, feeling a brief sense of relief. He heads back to the living room, but the hatch suddenly opens, almost causing real damage before closing quickly. Alarmed, Aiden rushes back to the control room to verify that the holograms are gone. As he celebrates, he hears Emma's voice questioning his actions. His family also begins calling his name, causing him to scream in desperation. The next day, Aiden wakes up to find a party happening in his home, filled with many people. Emma, holding a baby, announces that the baby's name is Monica, and that Aiden had proposed to her. She calls out to Aiden, and a holographic version of himself walks over to her. The real Aiden, overwhelmed and broken, sits on the floor, sobbing. The episode ends with a reflection on the blurred lines between man and machine, and the uncertainty of which will ultimately prevail.